Good morning, everybody. Grace and peace to you from our Lord Jesus Christ and all the saints here in early morning, Central California. It's about 10 till 6 a.m. Um, just coming off of some work we did last night for our clinics. They're splitting off from the hospital and becoming a separate county department. So one of the things we did is while they were initially getting set up, we had two of their subnets hosted up here. One of those subnets was for their wireless controllers. One was for their servers. And their servers were being hosted in our VMware environment, Nutanix environment, actually, which I don't have anything to do with, so I don't know too much about it. But the networking I do. So we hosted two of their subnets here. And the rest of their subnets were down at another location at their headquarters, basically, their new headquarters. So things worked out pretty good. I had a very generic route for them. I'll just use 192. I won't use their actual IP addresses. That's why I'm not going to share the screen or anything to show you that, because I don't want to show you their IP addresses or mine. So let's just say there are 192.168.2.0 and .5.0 were here. And I had a generic route for 192.168.0.0 pointing down to their headquarters. Well, since those two subnets, .2 and .5, were directly connected to my core, that's where I had them set up. The layer 3s for those VLANs are set up on my core. It wouldn't, for those subnets, it would all just stay here local, and they set up routes down at their end to route back up to me for their .2 and .5 subnet. The rest of their subnets were down there, up there. They're up north. So that worked out pretty good. So last night we decided, okay, or he's ready to migrate his controllers to his location now. He's got Nutanix all set up and ready to go. So he wanted to migrate. So we decided, well, let's start with the less critical. Let's start with the wireless controllers. So he migrated those up using some Nutanix move utility. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. I wasn't involved in that. He got them all moved up there, and he says, okay, I'm ready. Go ahead and take down your route to .2. I'm sorry, it's .5. Doesn't matter. But it was .5. So take your routes down for .5, and I'll bring them up here. So I took mine down. He brought his up. I had a constant ping going to 192.168.5.1, and while it was here, it would respond. It would just ping directly. I mean, there was no hops. It was just directly to 5.1. And as I brought my subnets down, the ping stopped. He brought them up on his side, and then I could see gateways, intermediate gateways showing up. It went to my gateway, and then it went to his gateway, and then it went to the device or the actual subnet, layer 3 subnet down there. And responded, oh, okay, cool, it's working. So my part for that portion was done. So then he powers on the wireless controller. Not working. So anyway, it took about 2 hours of troubleshooting. Finally, with the last hour being, he finally called Extreme Networks, which makes the wireless controller he uses. He's a Cisco shop, but for wireless, he's still using Extreme. So he calls them, and he's got two problems: he's can't remember the admin password, and it's not what he thought he changed it to. And the other thing, once they finally got in, what they determined, and what we suspected all along, was the wireless controller management interface up on this end. It was tagged to the vSwitch in Nutanix, and down there it needed to be untagged. So he was tagged for my VLAN tagging up here, which is different. It was like 2161 or something like that. Down there, he's using VLAN 50. So the wireless controller was sending out tagged frames for 2160. after he'd moved it down there, and he was on VLAN 50. I said, well, you could just change your VLAN to 2160 or 2161, whatever it was. It's like, I don't want to do that. I said, okay. So I just sat here and waited. And anyway, it took him a bunch of time to break into the controller without the admin password with Extreme's help, and then to attempt to change the VLAN tagging, which they did, and it still wasn't working. And then he had to go into the V switch or go back into the controller and change it to untagged, and then it worked fine. He could get to it. So yay. So anyway, that took the entire maintenance window. We were supposed to move that one other subnet with his servers on it. We didn't have time to do that. So there were also some issues moving the servers down there to begin with, having to do with the time and date mismatches on the virtual machine he was using to actually move the virtual machines. So anyway, I didn't pay attention during that part because it wasn't networking. I should have, but I'm never going to do that again. They're never going to move anything on Nutanix. So yeah, anyway. So that was last night. That was up till about 8 o'clock last night. And here it is, right on 6 a.m. And I got something else to do. So this morning, it's a kind of small job here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over here out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to I'm going to share a screen. Let's see if I can share that while it's minimized. I think I can. Yeah, share that. Oh yeah, I can. Look at that. Okay, so what I have to do is, actually, you know what? I'm going to share my screen. Hold on. I'm going to stop this share. I'm just going to share this whole screen. Hopefully it all works out. There we go. Because I want to show you this part too, not that part, this part. So this is a document I keep if all the network changes I make. We've got a change management system, but still I always keep a record of what I did. You can see there's lots of, even this year, I've made several changes to the network that I wanted to keep track of because I want to be able to back out. I want to know what I did. So I over track things. So I have all my scripts here. This is what I'm going to do to these two switches today. And then I'm using MOBA Xterm. And then within this application, I log everything that I do. So you can never over track yourself, I always say. So what I need to do is right now right now we always will be using Palo Alto firewalls. And they're run in pairs, and there's some high availability interfaces that run between them. There's high availability 1A, high availability 1B on both of those firewalls. So HA1A, HA1B. Right now, HA1A and B are on the same switch. They're in different VLANs, but on the same switch. And the reason they have you put it in different VLANs is so if one VLAN goes down, HA1A VLAN goes down, the HA1B LAN will still be there. You don't want them both to go down, otherwise you could cause what they call a split brain, where both firewall peers think they're in control, and they're not. Only one should be in control at any one time in our environment. There are cases for having active firewalls, but we don't do that here. We do active standby. So if one VLAN goes down, the other HA1A or HA1B will take over, depending. But if they're both connected to the same switch, what if that switch goes down? What if I update it? What if, it reboots? Yeah, so what I'm going to do is set up a port on a different switch for HA1B. I'll leave HA1A where it is. It's the primary. That's fine. HA1B should be pretty easy to mess with. So, and for this morning, all I'm doing is I'm just setting up the ports, and I'm going to test the ports with my meter. I'm not going to move anything on the firewall just yet. I'll I'll do a maintenance window for that just in case. Yeah, so what you're looking at, I think you're still looking at it. Yep, I'm sharing my screen still, is I'm going to use our WAN switches. And that's what normally connects us back to the county, but they count as a different switch. There are also VSP switches, which I am familiar with, but not as familiar with as I am with the Exos switches, which is where the firewall's plugged in now, both HA interfaces. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to test it out, and we're just going to do it. So I picked 2 ports that I saw were not in use on the switch. And what I'm going to do first, that's 133, 134. I'm going to check both of those. So sorry, let me stop sharing for just 1 second while I type in my username and password. You won't see the password, but you'll see the username, and I don't want you to see that necessarily. So give me 1 second while I type it in. Go into enable mode. And yeah, didn't really need to do that. Okay. Let's go type it in over here. I got 2 switches I have to do. There's one up here in the data center and one down in the MDF. So let me scroll that personally identifying information off the screen. You log into MOBA Xterm, it tells you who you are and what the username is and what the switch IP address is. So let me get rid of that because I'm just going to be doing layer 2 stuff this morning. There's nothing that involves layer 3, so it's okay for you guys to watch that. All righty. So I'm going to start with WAN switch 11. You can't see what I'm doing. Hang on. Here, and let's share the screen again. Share. So I'm going to start with WAN switch 11 because it's up here in the data center. WAN switch 10 is down in the MDF. And the first thing I'm going to do is, there it is. I'm just going to double check and make sure these ports 33 and 34 are not in use. So I'm going to say show interface gig state 1-33. Says it's down, admin up, but it's down. 34, those are down. So I'll have to enable that interface as well. And I'm going to use the same ports on both switches because that's how I like to do it. Okay, same deal. Admin up, but the port state is down, and 34. Okay, so those are both down. They're not in use. Very good. So let's go back here. WAN switch 11, WAN switch 11. And here's the way I do it. So we're going to grab this IP. Morning, Kevin. IP. I was listening to somebody come in the door. We're going to grab this command, this command, this command, this command. Even though it's already not shut down, we're going to grab that. I'm just going to grab the first few just to be sure. So let's do config T. Make sure I've actually grabbed those. Copy. There we go. There's that. And then the last one I have to do is this one. This one asks a question, I believe. Let's copy you. Yes, it does ask a question. And then exit. Okay, so the first interface is kind of sort of set up. And one of the things I do is once I've typed the commands in, I go back and highlight them green so I know I've done them. So if I get distracted halfway through this document, I know what I've done and what I have not done. So let's go ahead and we'll just grab all of these. Oops, wait a minute. Microsoft Word will bite you. Okay. Did it copy? Okay. Now let's do that over here. Okay. That guy is done. And now we have to do this. But I'm not sure if that's going to work. Let's see. Let's do these one at a time. It's when I start messing with the ISIDs, so I start getting a little nervous because I'm paid to be nervous. Okay, that's what I'm expecting to see. Let's see if it'll let me do both ports at once. Maybe don't need a comma there. Maybe, or a space, I mean. Don't need the space. Okay, that's that. So, basically, the way you untag a VLAN in the fabric is you untag the ISID. And this, when this VLAN was set up, we assigned it this ISID right here, 1201.1003. And so instead of untagging the VLAN, we untag the ISID. So hopefully this will work. When I stop sharing the screen in a minute here, I'm going to check some, oh no, I don't know the command. I have to look up the command to check all the ISIDs that are defined on this. But this thing participates in the fabric, so it should know what that ISID is. We'll find out. So, okay, so this part is done. So all I have needed to do on WAN switch 11 is done. So let's mark that as complete. Now we're going to move on to WAN switch 10. So we're going to grab all this, move over to WAN switch 10, config T, double check I got it. Okay. Yes. Exit. I could do them all at once, but I just like doing them one at a time. Goes 34. Come on. Cooperate with me. Word online has been lagging the past couple of days. So I don't know if we got some sort of process using the internet heavily, but okay. Copy that. Just make sure. Copy. Okay. Let's go back. Exit out of that. All right, and let's exit out of config mode. So both switches are done. Exit out of config mode here. Interface gig state. And you can see they're both admined up and still down at the moment. Let's check the other one. The other switch. There you go. Can we do name? Yeah, there we go. Oh, this was even a better command because it showed me the name and if it was up or down. So there you go. So I have these ports all configured. What I'm going to do real quick, if my meter is finished charging up, is I'm going to go into the data center and plug into one of these ports and make sure I see the right VLAN. And that should be it for today. Tell you what, I will put you on pause for just a moment, and I'll go do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, as I had hoped, everything is looking okay in there. Let me do this last piece where I highlight this. All right, so all my commands are highlighted, and that's about it for this morning's work. Like I said, I don't want to plug the firewall in until I have a maintenance window to actually move that cable, just in case. I don't think anything's going to happen because it's a backup interface, but still, we don't want to take any chances. So anyway, that's all I got for today, guys. I want to shout out a big thank you to everyone who pointed out that username and password showed up in the video. So thank you for that. I did take it down and took care of that, blurred it out. I researched that, and it's not a network username or password. It's for a specific device that's over there. I told them it's still probably not a good idea to tape your username and password to the top of the monitor. You know, tape it underneath the keyboard like everyone else does. So anyway, that's that. So anyway, thank you for that. Appreciate you guys catching me on that. And so that's, like I said, that's all I got for this week. If you like what you saw, click the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and we'll catch you guys all next week. God bless.